Skoggul here doing another FOE Training Grounds bot lane game, and we are doing Waterloo Misfortune and Taric versus a Woad Ashe with Sona as support. And in this game, the main features of the game will be the lane control displayed by Misfortune and the ability to push to the tower when the waves get big and she can't stop it from pushing, so she pushes fast, gets the lane reset, and then freezes the lane so that she could deny Ashe as much CS as possible and kill her if she comes out. Between the Twisted Fate ult and her ability to just do a lot of burst damage once she gets ahead, she's able to control the lane and really put the hurt on Ashe and make sure that Ashe can't do it. So if you've ever wondered how to control a lane, get ahead, and keep your throttle on the game, this game shows how. This works really good in the bottom lane. In the top lane, you can push back out and go right there jungle or gank mid, but in the bottom lane, you got to just stay and farm. So this is a good way of how to do it. So let's look at Misfortune for a minute and what she's going to bring to the table. Here's her base stats. And as you can kind of get a picture as to what she's running. If you can get familiar with the champion's base stats and what they can do, you can figure out what they're doing. So double up lets you hit a last minion in the back wave and have that hit the back row. Make it rain slows them. It's an escape tool or a lockdown so you can land bullet time properly. And she has 70 AD but has used Ignite and has 5 ability power, so she should have 65 AD other than the Ignite. She has 41 armor. Taric gives some boost to that, so some of that's just having yellows, but some of that's Taric. And by having 33 magic resist with the base of 30, she's probably just running scaling magic resist. And her teammate Taric. His base stats, the stats on melees are usually a little higher, and he's a little tankier with his base stats. His Shatter is what does a lot of damage. Imbue is what gives the defense. Dazzle is that stun for a second and a half, and Radiance can do quite a bit of damage. And he has a lot of armor because he's Taric, and I think his bonus doubles on himself. His magic resist looks like he is going with the scaling, and he had flat armors. And Ashe's base stats are fairly low. Her base AD is pretty low. Her AD per level is fairly low. And so when you're looking at her, Frost Shot can lock you down by keeping on you and making sure you're perma-slowed, and Volley can do quite a bit of damage. It can clear. An Enchanted Crystal Arrow is her fight initiator and why she gets taken. Her utility to win team fights later with just that is huge. Her 2 summoners are Ghost and Flash, so she has 2 escape spells. You see Cleanse more often than Ghost, but she runs it that way. She has 68 AD, so her reds are likely AD. It doesn't look like her Quintsar. She only has 28 armor, and most of the time they have about 30 if they're running yellow, so that's a little odd. And she has 42 magic resist, so she's running flats. And 357 movement means she should have had 350, so she's likely has some points out of the utility tree to give a slight bonus. Now let's look at Sona. Sona has decent base stats. She's kind of an anti-AD. All her abilities, her Q can zap for damage, her W heals, and then every one of them leaves an aura behind that buffs her teammate, whether it's extra movement speed, extra attack damage, extra defenses. And she has 4 AP, so she's running some into the offensive tree, and 33 armor, so she's not using the yellow armors. And 42 blue, so she's running the flat blue magic resist. And 307 means she's probably got 9 in utility. So she's something like 9, 12, 9, or really deep into utility with 9 points in offense and none in defense. That's probably likely what she's doing. And so as you can see, Misfortune takes a pushing lane and pushes it all the way to the tower. Now the tower's zapping at the minions, and that is going to cause the lane to reset. It's going fast because it's really not that exciting, but it makes it hard for Ashe to last hit. If Ashe dies or something happens, then she's getting denied to the tower majorly, and now it's back set up at the halfway point. So what you'll watch Misfortune do when she was pushing hard before is she'll just kind of sit there and only use double up to harass and farm. That's all she's doing. She's not trying to put extra damage down on these minions. She's going to allow Ashe to volley, which will then in turn hit a lot of targets, and that's likely to push back the other way. And so when you're Misfortune here, you want the lane to push so that you're not in an exposed position to ganks, so that you can get out easy, so that you can put some hurt on Ashe if she ever does come out and you get an advantage. You land those combos with Taric and you might be able to chase for the kill instead of just letting her walk away. So it does a lot by just last hitting and not hitting minions otherwise. Now the times you would speed up if you wanted to do this is if you didn't want it to get all the way to your tower. So if Ashe started pushing hard, you could then stop it from hitting your tower by speeding up your rate of destroying the minions. But for now you're doing pretty good where you're at. Get some hurt on Ashe and it's time to get out of there. And number 2 is avoiding ganks. And when you're avoiding ganks, you want to, one, recognize that your team is pinging and where they're coming from. They're going to be coming from the tri-brush. And even if you had it warded, they would have been in position and you would have been too far extended, other than the fact that Twisted Fate was pinging it. So Taric's tankier, so he kind of intercepts them, and then the Make It Rain makes it so with a tower there, that would just be a suicide mission to run after that. And so if you watch the mini-map, you're going to watch, they have a ward out, so Amumuu's going to run out of the ward, but Cass isn't. So Cass is still there. And she's going to use the Make It Rain to make her flash, otherwise Cass could have just followed. And Taric's going to land a really clutch stun. And as a support, if you have a stun or a way to protect your teammate and they're running away, don't just run away too. Stop, stun the biggest threat, and then back off. And a lot of people don't quite do that properly. So I just wanted to bring that up. And here at 6:25 in the game, we're at 13:19 on Ashe. We're at 18:52 on Misfortune. We're at 1200 on Taric and 1046 on Sona. So we have the double Dorans and the dagger, and then just boots for Ashe. So that will change soon, but you'll see. We'll see how this game goes on. So she's already been able to establish herself strong early, and right now she's stronger than Ashe, and so she wants to take this advantage and continue it. Malphite comes and ganks and just does some damage. It wasn't really much besides just let's do some damage. Ashe can't really pursue, she's so low. It doesn't matter if Taric's in the lane or not. And if Taric was there and Ashe pursued, that would be a dead Ashe. And so we're just going to continue on with this and talk about denial. Denial is when you're no longer hiding behind the ways to pull off denial. Denial is making sure they don't farm very well. But the ways to do this is to not, instead of hiding behind her own minions, Misfortune's going to be standing in the middle of them or past them for a lot of the rest of this game. While she's just last hitting so that there's nothing Ashe can do about it, she's going to put down as much damage as she can constantly, and she's going to force Ashe to have to base. And when Ashe bases, she's going to go ahead and push this back to the tower. No, she just last hits for a minute, but she's going to eventually be able to get this to the tower when Ashe comes back and just go shop, where Ashe can't do anything. Amumuu's going to hold it, and so she's just going to back. And that's going to make Ashe get a little farther behind. She's upgraded to the Berserker's Greaves and the Dorans compared to Berserker's Greaves 2 Dorans. It doesn't seem like a big advantage, but here they make Sona ult just to back off of a get in their face move, and that is the first step of the real hard denial. Last time they tried it and they put her down and made her base, and that was the beginning of it, but this is where it gets to become a hard denial. Is on that move right there, they make Sona ult, so they don't have their ult, and now look at the zoning. She's past the caster minions for the other team's minions, and Ashe has to sit back far away or she takes a lot of damage and is afraid of Taric coming in and just doing a lot of damage here. So this is how you can take an advantage and just keep it working for you. Is Ashe sees them, Ashe backs off. Ashe sees them, Ashe backs off. Ashe doesn't want to just feed and get blamed by her team for being a feeder. Instead, she's just not going to farm and leave for just a minute and look at the damage. So the burst combo here that you need to pay attention on this replay is it just starts off a Taric stun, and that stun's a second and a half, I believe. So the second and a half stun off Taric lets her put a Make It Rain, so her escape route is cut off and she's slowed for the entire escape route. And then if you watch, double up's going to fly in and she's already used impure shots, and then ult on top of it. And when you ult after they're slowed from the Make It Rain, then they can't really get out of the ult very well. and that allows you to finish people off or make them eat up a lot of your ult. And so now that Ashe is dead, the denial trick would be to push to the tower. You don't want to just last hit and wait. You want to get it out there when they're dead like that. And so I'll look at all those minions that are now gone that would have been alive. So now it's pushed back out, so she's just going to slow down. Last hit, so as Ashe is coming alive, Ashe isn't going to have it at her tower where she can safely farm. She's going to have to come back out and extend if she wants to farm at all, or she wants to not get farther behind in levels. And that brings me to the TF plus Taric synergy, and that is the stuns. TF stun can be up to 2 seconds, Taric's a second half, so you can lock down a single target on these ganks by 3.5 seconds. So if TF goes to a lane that already has some hard CC, he can just do this. He can put up a gold card, warp in, and as a support, if you have an ability like an Alistar or a Taric to help with this, then you just make sure they can't move for the full 100 to 0 burst. And there is just nothing that Ashe can do there other than just stay behind the tower, and even then she might have died with that burst, because TF does quite a burst. Taric has some burst, and Misfortune has a big burst. So here it's going to get back to the tower, and this is when you're being over aggressive. The reason I consider this over aggression, not just an aggressive play, is you don't know where anyone but Swain and Sona are other than Cass is dead. So besides the fact that Cass is dead, you had no sight on Amumuu, and if you think about Sona and Amumuu's ults, they can lock you down. And even though they're not the strongest of champions, with those double ults, you're not going to live through that. And so that's going to help them out quite a bit. Amumuu gets a double kill, he's not behind now, and he's doing quite well, and you've kept one person in the game. So just let her blue pill back and keep the denial on, go back and farm, but with no mana, there's just nothing you're going to do if Amumuu warps out of there. And as you can see, the double ults make escape literally impossible. Misfortune's fast, but not when she's taking hits. And so TF has no choice, or Taric has no choice but to lay down a little damage before he goes to. And so that's an example of being over aggressive, what you can and can't get away with there. It's okay, sometimes you get away with it and you feel like really good, but that can let people back in. So they're tied on items now, but the CS is 77 to 41. And that's a big deal. That's getting quite a bit ahead pretty early. She's going to be able to take that advantage and keep it going. I don't understand why this clip shows her at 202. Should show her at 212 with Ashe with the kill, but anyways, I must have pulled that from slightly before where we're at. Yeah, just by like 30 seconds. That the items got pulled right before it showed her death. So she's trying to chase out Sona and isn't able to catch her over that wall. And she knows Ashe is escaping around. So instead of helping her team fight Swain, which would have been an easy kill on Swain, she chases Ashe. But Ashe is really good at kiting. Make It Rain cannot compete with Volley and Frosted Arrow or Frost Shot or whatever it is. I think it's Frost Shot. And so she's able to escape, and she doesn't get even an assist on Sona or Swain because she didn't stay with her team. She kind of abandoned them and chased. So sometimes being greedy and going for that kill can get you a little more out of position and hurt you. And Taric's able to land a stun, and the flash stun from TF lets this be a very good play for their team, and they were able to pick up the kills. So as a team, that worked out really well. But for Misfortune, she should have gotten at least the assist or the kill on Swain, and then maybe an assist or a kill on Sona had she just stuck with her team. So she's going to go around and do something I like, is they're going to go check to see if Blue's up. Blue's up. Oh, they had the pink ward, so they know it's not warded. And even though they see Amumuu coming, she does quite a bit of damage. She's an 80 carry with the support tanking it, and they're able to take it and get away. And they probably could have fought Amumuu if he didn't have any friends, but they didn't have a lot of vision on his friends, so it wouldn't have been a good idea. So they did the right thing by leaving, and here Misfortune just continues to farm her lane, get ahead, and try to... now she's pushing faster because she can, and she's going to try to stay ahead here and do as much as she can and take out the tower with one hit. And that's pretty much going to end our laning phase. They kill Cass again, And that's it for the laning phase. So at the end of the laning phase, you have 4716 gold and 92 minions compared to 43 minions and 2513 gold. And then 2608, so even more for Sona, just clicking away GP10s than Ashe was able to farm, and 3468, which beats both of them on the support for Taric. And that's quite a bit of an advantage going into mid game, especially when all your other lanes are the same way. So she's got her BF sword. Remember, she was sitting on the Berserker's Greaves and the Dorans, and then there's the roaming fights and the denial, and she just only gets like 2 CS and no assists or nothing. And so she's able to upgrade a BF sword over and an elixir and more pots, and Ashe isn't able to pick up anything. So for the mid game fights, Ashe is fairly useless and isn't sitting on a lot of gold. Anyhow, I'll be back with the review soon. Alright, it's review time. So in this game, we showed the lane control, avoiding ganks, the denial, and the misfortune burst combo to start with. And then we had some more features later. But for the lane control, some of the aspects of lane control are knowing when the wave starts pushing on its own and how you can't stop it, and how to push to the tower to make sure you're denying them a little bit of CS at the tower. And even if you don't like being extended to the tower, it just gets there more slowly and leaves you extended for a longer period of time if you don't push it. So a lot of people don't like pushing to the tower because they feel like they're unsafe. But just remember that if you let it push by the minion wave, it's still going to get there. You're just going to either deny yourself by not going with it, or you're going to be extended for a long period of time, giving their jungler plenty of time to react and get into position. But if you push it really quick, you can get there and kind of back up because you're not going to miss that much while they're trying to farm at the tower while you're a little safer. And so that's just one way to go about it, is he's going to have to rush in a position. He can't be as sneaky, he can't do lane ganks. Certain junglers that can jump that wall might be a little scarier, but against most people, you're fairly safe this way. And that is what happens. Is now it's pushing back against her, and you can see that she's able to farm safely, and she's in no more danger than is Ashe. And so what I'm trying to show you is the zone you want the minions to be in. If the minions are all in that zone, the tower is going to take them out very quickly, and then it just turns around and quickly goes back the other way, and you're back at the middle of the lane as if you'd never pushed and you just stayed equal with them on as far as pushing goes. So number 2, avoid ganks. You need to be able to recognize what's happening on the map, especially if you pings really fast. So Twisted Fate's pinging there, and he's not just pinging for fun, he's pinging because both Amumuu and Cass are coming. And so if they don't go now, and they wait till their ward sees them in the tri-brush, they're probably dead. So by leaving then, they were able to get out of there, and they use the Make It Rain to get out. He uses his Dazzle to stop them for a second, and you got to dodge those poisons by Cassiopeia, or she's going to be able to go on you anyways, because she can just do so much burst damage. And if you watch the mini map on that, Amumuu runs right through their ward and leaves, but Cass doesn't. So Cass burns her flash, but Taric's able to stun her, so it's just flash down for the mid. And in a way, that would have been a successful gank if they had gone to mid and made Cass flash, so they kind of pulled it off. So one, you got to recognize the play. You have to recognize that they're coming through that route. You have to cut them off and react, so not only are you backing up, but you're ready to use your escape moves. And then you have to recognize that Amumuu left, but Cass didn't. And I didn't have the right fog of war, but Cass was in the shadows there. They didn't see her. They just didn't see her back off. And by using Make It Rain, they make Cass have to either go around or flash, and then Taric's able to save Misfortune with the stun, and Misfortune gets way behind the tower. 3 is denial, and when you deny someone, it's by slowing down the lane so that if they get extended, once you can kill them every time they extend, you could do things like this. They can just run out to the lane from buying and force them to ult to back off. And once you've established that presence, you just stay on the other side of the creeps as if you were playing for purple team. The positioning here is I'll position so I can farm the creeps barely, but I'm past the creep line so that I can go after you if you want to come stand behind your caster minions. I can just jump on you. And the only thing you can do about that is absolutely nothing. That's what you can do about it. You can let him farm or get denied, or you can run out and get yourself killed. And by the denial, people get tired of just getting shut down, and instead of waiting for a gank, she comes out a little bit, and that's all it really takes to finish her off. So Taric's in the other brush now, and he's able to go up, land one stun, and set up an entire Misfortune combo. The combo is really cool. I'm going to go over it in more detail later, but here we're going to see that they made Sona blow her ult. And that's a big deal, because if they go to diver, she can't save Ashe with her ult. And 45 to 37 CS at 909. So that's not a big disparity. But Misfortune is standing past the creep line and is farming behind her, but keeping Ashe at bay in front of her. And at 11:38, she was at 37. She's only at 41, and she's clear up to 74. At 15 minutes, she's only got 2 more from that point. That's 4 minutes to 43 and 92 for Misfortune. So that's a pretty hard shutdown. And the Misfortune Burst combo, which I talked about, is when you slow them down with your E, you pop your W so they can't heal at all. So if Sona tries to heal or they use Summoner Heal, it's going to negate some of their healing, and then you make it so they can't move with the Make It Rain. You land a double up followed by your ult. And your ult on top of a Make It Rain makes it so they can't escape outside of your Make It Rain without a flash or dash ability very easy. Because look how slowly Ashe is walking out of there. There was no escape once she was caught in it. And that is what you accomplish with the Make It Rain before you bullet time. And so that is what Misfortune brings to the table. And I'll just do 2 real quick screenshots to show you slowed down. You first take advantage of Taric stunning by landing your Make It Rain and your Impure Shot so they can't heal. And then you ran your double up and your ult. And that is the best way to try to do a lot of damage in a short period of time with Misfortune. So if you want to know how to burst Graves back when he comes at you, you can throw Make It Rain and ult him as he tries to dash and Q you. Just different things like that. If you can't avoid his, that's what you can do. TF and Taric synergy. It's a beautiful synergy because it can give 3.5 seconds of stun on one person. So until you group to team fights, in the laning phase, it's the ganking ability is that. Ashe didn't move. It wasn't like the Make It Rain where she was moving slow. She couldn't have flash, she couldn't have ghosted, she couldn't have healed, she couldn't have used an enchanted arrow, she couldn't do any damage back. She was literally stunned for over 3 seconds. And that still works later in the game if you can pick someone off. You pick them off before the fights and you get really good team fights. But in a team fight, it only locks down one person, unfortunately, and not more than one, and that's the only disadvantage in a team fight. But as far as small skirmishes go, it is extremely strong to have TF ganks on your team when you already have a hard stun in your lane. It works for the Renekton stun, the Riven stun, just any stun you can think of. It just combos really, really well, so that they can almost have no chance to get away. From 100 to 0 with the gold card to the throat wild cards to Taric stun and Misfortune there, they're able to burst her down in the 3 seconds that she's stunned, giving her no chance to do anything. And on the second example of them, they're going to do it, and it won't be back to back, but it will be a total of 3.5 seconds. It's a stun here, so Cass can't get behind the tower. Cass has to blow flash, but then TF flashes and stuns her again, and she can't dodge anything, get away, or get behind the tower. So you have the first one to slow her down so TF can get in position, because TF had just killed Ashe a little bit north of you. And then TF's able to get in position with a flash and land a gold card and make Cass freeze and die. 6 is over-aggression. Over-aggression is when you make a play that's aggressive that gets you killed. And it's not just that it's aggressive and gets you killed, it's that you did it blindly. So there's Sona trying to base, and you can see Swain in the top lane and Cass is dead, but there's no sign of Ashe or Amumuu. So what happens is Amumuu jumps in, and then Sona ults and Amumuu ults, and they can just basically melt both the people there, and it's 2 easy kills for purple team when all you had to do was let her base, keep them denied to the tower, maybe go shop, and nothing would have happened. They went for that last kill, it didn't work out, and I think there's a good reason why, is they did it blindly. There's just, if you don't know where they're at, assume they're in a decent position to get you. Don't assume they're not there, because especially when you're squishy, you might have been able to get away with that if you had a champion that was a very good kiter, very good escape moves. Even still, I'm not sure, because you have Sona ult, you have a Amumuu ult, and it's just a very dangerous situation to be in. So as you can see, there's 1, 2 is Sona and Swain, and 3 really is that Cass is dead, but 2 other people are missing. And she's backing, so that should be good enough for you. You should let her back, because instead you're going to make it rain, and you chase past the tower, and there's literally no escape, and Amumuu is right there, and that's going to be the end of our hero for this moment. She'll come back up and do fine, but that's when you're being too aggressive, is when you blindly rush a very aggressive play with no escape. If you had a very good escape, you can be aggressive, and it's not over-aggression. And 7 is the greed chase, and what I mean by this is when you chase someone because you want that kill, but you don't stick with your team, and it can go really bad. In this case, it's not really bad. Their team's dominating, they can kind of get away with it, but she's going to miss out on some gold and some kill opportunities that her team takes advantage of. So she's chasing Malphite. Malphite's hard to chase, and so is Ashe, though. Ashe kites very well. You land a volley into the slow, you have your frosted shot, and Ashe just gets away, and by the time you turn around from chasing Ashe, Swain has been killed, Sona's been killed, Ashe is going to be able to walk away that way, and you can't do anything. So instead of getting assists or kills, she sees that Ashe on the minimap is escaping the other way, and instead of fighting a full Swain, which would be a for sure kill because he's diving after Malphite, chases Ashe, which was not a for sure kill or anything close to a for sure kill with her kiting ability. And Ashe is going to get away. Rumble's going to go down to your team and you don't get any gold, and Sona's going to go down to Malphite and you don't get any gold. So that's kind of the problem with not sticking with your team and fighting and chasing someone off, is you don't get as much. Anyhow, good luck in your future games. I hope you were able to learn something, take something away from this, and we will see you again soon with another video.